My name is Sheila Pattison, and I will be using Screencast-O-Matic to present my Locus of Control activity. Important life events. Getting engaged. I would say that I had half control on the situation and he had the other half. The catalyst that drove this was being in the right place at the right time, first of all, and then when we were getting engaged, we were on the boardwalk in Disney World, and we were sitting there, and it was a rainy day, and this old lady walks by, and she slips and falls on the ground, and she doesn't get up, so the EMT crew had to come and get her off the ground. And so that little shift could have been more traumatic, as in prolonging him proposing. So I would have to say that that little shift could have either been really bad, or as it actually worked out, it was fine. And that also could have been bad because there were so many people walking by. Somebody might have glanced because we were on the boardwalk and somebody was drawing our pictures and drawing him proposing. Somebody could have walked by and said something to give away the surprise of the proposal, I suppose. The next important life event was choosing to become a teacher. I would say I had most control over this. The catalyst that drove it was I was in undergrad and I started out in the business program, and I had my first professor I went to wasn't very nice, and so I decided that maybe this wasn't for me. And then nobody else in my family has been or was in the education system. They've been farmers, nursing, but education was never one of them, and I am the type of person that I like to be different than everyone else. So that was a little shift, that realizing that, you know, maybe I want to do something completely different than what everybody else in my family has done. And another catalyst that kind of drove me to becoming a teacher is, after having the experience with the business program, I decided that I didn't want to be stuck behind a desk all day. So becoming a teacher was a better option for me because I could interact and walk around more than sitting at a desk. Another important life event was finding a job. I had most control in some sense, as in I knew where I wanted to go, but the other control was, were they hiring? Were they hiring for the position I would be available to fill, which would be a K-8 position? The catalyst was graduating at the right time with the correct degree. So there was one position open at the district I applied for, and it happened to be an elementary position. So it worked out. That tiny shift, as in it was an elementary position, worked in my favor. The next big life event was starting grad school. I held the majority over this because I could have said, no, I don't want to do it, but I did want to do it. The catalyst that kind of drove me to do this was that I have really supportive parents that encourage higher education. So without having them support me and encourage me, I probably would have been resistant to applying. But since they were so supportive, having them there for me made it easier to make that transition. The last event that was important was buying a dog. I had control over some of it. Some of it was out of my control. The main catalyst was the right place, the right time, and the right price. More so, my sister had a border collie, and I knew how much I loved her dog, and I wanted a dog just like that. Before I met her dog, I wanted a lab. But meeting her dog changed my mind to wanting a border collie. And another catalyst in choosing and buying a border collie was that I became a runner when I first started undergrad. And I wanted a dog that loved to run, and it was a good runner, which led to me wanting a border collie. More so than a lab, because border collies are so hyper and just love to run and are good runners. So that was the catalyst and the little shift that made me go more towards a border collie than a lab.